Hi, I am Dr. Tripti Sharma. I am an endocrinologist and I am practicing in Pace Hospital, High Tech City, Hyderabad. Today, we are going to discuss about gestational diabetes. Gestational diabetes means diabetes or high blood sugar that starts for the first time during pregnancy. It means that when a female conceives, so at the time of conception as well as during first trimester, the blood glucose level is within normal range. But as pregnancy progresses, the level of pregnancy hormones increases, and because of that, when blood glucose become more than the recommended normal range for pregnancy, then it is known as gestational diabetes. To understand the pathophysiology of gestational diabetes, first we need to understand the normal physiological changes in a pregnant female that occurs with respect to blood glucose metabolism. During pregnancy, the baby depends on mother for its growth, development as well as nutrition. For this, there occur some important physiological changes in a female, and one of them is insulin resistance, means resistance to the action of insulin. So what is insulin resistance and how it develops in the development of gestational diabetes? So insulin is a hormone. It is secreted by beta cells present in the pancreas. The function of insulin can be understood by key and lock model. Just imagine that insulin is a key, and for the opening of the doors, it needs to bind to its corresponding lock, that is insulin receptor. These insulin receptors are present on different tissues, for example, liver and muscle. So when insulin binds to its corresponding receptor, the opening of door will occur, and these open door will help in entry of blood glucose molecules into different tissues. So that's insulin helps in the utilization of blood glucose. So when there is a insulin resistance, this blood glucose molecule will not be able to enter in a proper amount from blood to the different tissues. So level of blood glucose will increase, and this high blood glucose will be transferred from mother to baby through placenta. Thus, a baby will get its nutrition. So it is a normal physiological change that occurs in all pregnant females. Then how this insulin resistance leads to gestational diabetes? There are some high risk group of pregnant females. For example, if at the time of conception your age is 35 or more, which is very common these days. If you are obese or overweight, means your body mass index is more than 23 kg per meter square. You have a history of childhood obesity. You have a past history of PCOD. Past history of gestational diabetes in your previous pregnancy. Past history of large size baby, that is the baby with birth weight of more than 4 kg. So these are the high risk females. In these females, there is underlying insulin resistance already present. So when they get pregnant, this resistance is further increased. That means the blood glucose level crosses the normal recommended range. So this is how the already present insulin resistance that get worsened during the pregnancy leads to the gestational diabetes mellitus onset. The risk factors for gestational diabetes are: if age at the time of conception is 35 or more, If your body weight is high, means your body mass index is 23 or more than 23 kilogram per meter square. If you have a sedentary lifestyle, you have a sign of insulin resistance like acanthosis, which we can see as a blackening at the nape of your neck, blackening under your arms in your groin region, past history of childhood obesity, past history of gestational diabetes in previous pregnancy, past history of birth defects or recurrent miscarriages in the previous pregnancy, family history of diabetes, especially in the first degree relatives. So these are all the risk factors that increases the risk of development of gestational diabetes in a coming pregnancy. So first important complication of gestational diabetes is risk of a macrosomic baby. Macrosomic means large size baby or birth weight is 4 or more than 4 kgs. So this is the one of the most common complication of gestational diabetes. The second most common complication is neonatal hypoglycemia, means the low blood glucose level at the time of birth. As we know that in gestational diabetes, the blood glucose level of mother is more than the recommended range. This high blood glucose level will be transferred to baby through placenta, and high blood glucose level in baby will stimulate the beta cells of the baby to produce more and more insulin. And insulin is a growth factor. So these babies have more weight and more size. So because of that, when they are delivered, the level of insulin level is high, but suddenly there is a abrupt cutoff of supply of glucose from mother to baby. So there will be mismatch between the high insulin level and the low glucose level. Because of that, they are at high risk of development of neonatal hypoglycemia. It is recommended that after birth, they should undergo the frequent breastfeeding and frequent blood glucose monitoring. And if they are showing any signs of hypoglycemia like abnormal crying or abnormal body movements, they should be managed in ICU under the supervision of a pediatrician. The third important complication of gestational diabetes mellitus is neonatal respiratory distress syndrome, means the difficulty in breathing at the time of birth, because there is a high level of insulin in the body of baby, and this high level of insulin interferes with the formation of surfactant. Surfactant is a molecule that helps in the opening of lung alveoli. So high level of insulin, low level of alveolar surfactant will lead to the inappropriate opening of the lung alveoli, and there will be difficulty in the breathing. The fourth important complication is polycythemia and jaundice. As these babies are at high risk of developing respiratory distress, so they have a hypoxia, means the level of oxygen in their blood is low. This hypoxia stimulates the bone marrow of baby, leads to increased production of RBC. But these RBCs are not functionally mature, so there is also an increased breakdown of RBC. That's why these babies may present as prolongation of a normal physiological jaundice. Sometimes we may need to admit them for a prolonged time and may need to give phototherapy. The fifth important complication of hypoglycemia and gestational diabetes in mother is shoulder dystocia. As the size of the baby is large, there is a high risk of getting obstruction of shoulder of baby behind the pubic bone of mother. Because of that, the plexus of nerves in underarm may get compressed. This plexus of nerves we name as a brachial plexus, and this is known, the compression of this nerve plexus is known as apoplexy. So these babies may have a paralysis of the upper arm by birth because of their large size. That's why it is recommended that if the size of the baby is large, these females should undergo the cesarean section to decrease the risk of shoulder dystocia or paralysis of the arm. So first we will discuss in whom we should do screening for gestational diabetes. According to American Diabetic Association and Endocrine Society, it is recommended that we should do screening for gestational diabetes in high-risk group females. But in India, we are doing universal screening. That means every pregnant female should undergo screening for gestational diabetes irrespective of risk status, because India is the second largest country after China to have a maximum number of diabetic person. So if we do screening only in high risk females, a large proportion of gestational diabetic females will be missed, and that may lead to a poor and abnormal complications for the baby as well as the mother. So that's why in India we are following the universal screening. Second, when should we do screening for gestational diabetes? Ideally, as gestational diabetes is a diabetes that occurs because of pregnancy hormones, and the level of pregnancy hormones is at peak after the 5th month of pregnancy. So, to screen for gestational diabetes, it is recommended to do screening test after 5th month, that is between 24 to 28 weeks of pregnancy. So does it mean that there is no need for blood glucose testing in the first trimester? No, it is not like that, because many of us are already having a pre-diabetes or diabetes, but we are not aware of that. And if we will do screening for diabetes only in the second trimester, we can miss the high blood sugar level in the first trimester. And this high level of blood glucose may lead to the abnormal complication in the terms of congenital birth defects in a baby. So, all pregnant female should be tested for sugar at their first antenatal visit by checking the fasting sugar or HbA1c. If sugar level is normal, then they should recheck or undergo for the screening of gestational diabetes between 24 to 28 weeks. Now, how we diagnose gestational diabetes? So, to diagnose gestational diabetes, Endocrine Society and American Diabetic Association has recommended a gold standard test, that is 75 gram oral glucose tolerance test. In this test, we advise for a fasting of 8 to 10 hours. That means after taking your dinner by 10 or 11 pm, do not take anything till morning and come to the nearest hospital or lab in a fasting state. At that time, one blood glucose sample will be taken, and after that 75 gram of glucose drink will be given. After 1 hour and 2 hours of the glucose drink, the two blood samples will be taken respectively. If the 0 hour value is more than 92 milligram per deciliter, or 1 hour value is more than 180, or the 2 hour value is more than 153 milligram per deciliter, then it is considered as a positive screening test. So why we have taken these values as a cutoff values? We can take a fasting of 95 or 100. These cutoff values are based on the results of some important studies. One of them is HAPO study. The results of this study were published in 2010, and they have suggested that when blood glucose level is more than these cutoff values, there is high risk of having a large size of baby. There is high risk of getting a high insulin and C-peptide levels. That's why these cutoff values are used for the diagnosis of gestational diabetes. So there are 4 important aspects in the management of gestational diabetes. The first is medical nutrition therapy. In medical nutrition therapy, the most important is that these pregnant females should get a balanced nutrition diet. That means there should be an adequate proportion of carbohydrate, fat and protein. In carbohydrate, we should try to have a more of complex carbohydrate, because complex carbohydrate, they are a good source of fiber as well as they have a low glycemic index. Because of that, it helps to achieve a better fasting and postprandial glucose levels. Second, we should also focus on the quantity of carbohydrate. We should take small and frequent meals. Second important part of the medical nutrition therapy is fat intake. So, we should try to avoid the trans fat intake. We should limit the saturated fat intake, and we can take the mono and polyunsaturated fat. But we should not mistake to replace our carbohydrate part with the fat part, because if we take more than the recommended fat, then it will lead to a increased lipolysis, and this increased lipolysis will lead to increased fatty acids in blood, and it will lead to increased insulin resistance. The third is protein intake. All pregnant females should have adequate protein intake in their diet, that is about 1 milligram per kg per day. So this was a medical nutrition therapy for the management of gestational diabetes. The second part is exercise. So in these females, both aerobic as well as the resistance type of exercise are recommended, but these should be incorporated in their lifestyle only after discussing with your gynecologist. The third part is medication. So in medication, the insulin is the first line therapy. It is completely safe, and there are 2 types of insulin that we usually use in gestational diabetes. One is short acting insulin and one is long acting insulin. Depending upon the blood glucose levels, the doses of insulins are adjusted. In pregnant females, normally we do not use the oral hypoglycemic agents, because these medications are transferred through placenta to baby, and there is a risk of development of congenital abnormalities. Regarding metformin, metformin can be used, but it is not a first line therapy, and in those females where metformin had been used in the past for the management of PCOD or for induction of ovulation, these females can continue metformin during pregnancy safely. Third important part of management is monitoring. It is recommended that all pregnant females should monitor their blood glucose level by glucometer by doing the frequent glucose monitoring. Second way of monitoring is measurement of HbA1c or a glycated hemoglobin. As during pregnancy, the turnover of RBC is increased, so HbA1c level can be falsely low. So during pregnancy, we try to achieve a target of HbA1c 6 or 6.5%. but without any risk of hypoglycemia. If there is a high risk of hypoglycemia, then this target can be relaxed to 7% also. The third way of monitoring is continuous glucose monitoring, which can be done by CGM sensor. It has been found the monitoring by continuous glucose monitoring sensor helps to achieve a better glucose control. It decreases the risk of hypoglycemias as well as a macrosomic baby or a respiratory distress at the time of birth. As we know that gestational diabetes is because of pregnancy hormones, especially the HCG hormone, progesterone hormone are one of the hormones that are responsible for increasing insulin resistance and leading to gestational diabetes. So normally we should avoid the simple carbohydrates because simple carbohydrates, they have a high glycemic index, they have a low fiber content. So these type of simple carbohydrates should be avoided. The food that are rich in saturated fat, they should be avoided, and you should avoid the junk foods because they will have a more calories and less amount of nutrition. Yes, if you are in high risk category female, that means your age is more, body weight is high, you are already having an insulin resistance, and that phase, if you are consuming more and more sugars, that there is a high risk that it can lead to a gestational diabetes. So during gestation, it is very, very important to have a balanced and nutrition diet. Yes, because gestational diabetes increases the risk of both maternal and fetal complications. So it is treated as a high risk pregnancy. Definitely, because during pregnancy, normally the fasting sugar level should be less than 95 and 1 hour post meal value should be less than 140 and 2 hour post meal value should be less than 120. So a random value of 150 is definitely high. We should do screening for gestational diabetes in these females. Yes, if you manage diabetes during pregnancy by proper medical nutrition therapy, good physical activity, proper medication and monitoring, and achieving by this you can achieve a optimal blood glucose control that will help in achieving a healthy baby. So yes, even diabetic females can have a healthy baby. Can diabetic females give birth to their baby by a natural procedure or normal vaginal delivery? Yes. If we control diabetes during pregnancy and blood glucose control is very good, then the risk of macrosomic baby is decreased. So if the baby weight is okay, all parameters like amniotic fluid index, they are okay, we can plan for normal delivery also. Yes, definitely. Insulin is the first line treatment for the management of diabetes during pregnancy. It is completely safe for both baby as well as the mother. Yes, because by walking, the resistance to the insulin action decreases and definitely it will help in achieving a better blood glucose control. Yes, these days because of our lifestyle, most of us are already having the insulin resistance at the time of conception. So the development of gestational diabetes is becoming very, very common these days. In most of these cases, actually, when there is a delivery, the insulin resistance is decreased dramatically and the blood glucose level in a mother becomes normal. But some of the females may have a persistent high blood glucose level, so it is recommended that after delivery, at 1 to 3 months postpartum period, we should check for diabetes by 75 gram oral glucose tolerance test. We should consult an endocrinologist or diabetologist for the management of gestational diabetes.